against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yo, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. We're your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. We cover breaking news, culture, and magic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Not going to lie, bit of a setback. Javier Milei, he didn't lose, but he didn't win the Argentinian presidential election. There's set to be a runoff between him and Massa. Massa's part of the existing, he's part of the existing party who currently is in power in Argentina. And they're set to have a runoff election in November to determine who is going to be the next president of Argentina. I'm not going to lie, it was definitely a big upset for me. Because at the end of the day, like it's literally in the slogan of our show, guys. This is the separation of money and state. And when you have a politician who is running for president of a G20 nation, right? We're not talking about a small country like El Salvador, but big country like Argentina, who is saying things like, you know, I want to end the central bank, and is saying things like, you know, Bitcoin is a good thing. And you have all the legacy corporate media all around the world basically attacking this guy as if their lives depended on it. Tells me that this guy is over the target. So yes, I'm kind of disappointed that, you know, Javier Milei didn't win. So there's two things, right? There was either some funny business, which we don't really have proof of that. So I'm not even going to double down on that. I'm not even going to double down on that narrative, because I know that was something that was being, you know, talked about on Twitter. But most importantly, people chose to keep the party in power whose policies have led to more than 100% inflation. Either way, regardless, we have a lot of work to do as Bitcoiners to really get the message out. Clearly, a lot of people, you know, have really bought into the fiat matrix. People have really bought into the idea that the government can take care of them. Where as Bitcoiners, we know, as Austrian economists, we know that government itself, the state, is essentially the problem. It's really the cause as to why Argentina is dealing with 100% inflation. It's the reason as to why Argentina is going through the economic hardships that it's going through, right? But people are blind to that because, you know, they like, you know, the bus tickets subsidized, right? And a lot of the reasons as to why Massa was able to, you know, to win this is a fear campaign, essentially convincing people that, you know, if Milei were to get in power, you know, all that support, all that government subsidies that people were getting from the government would just end, and people would just starve to death. So this led me to, you know, a discussion with a friend of mine last night. At the end of the day, this is a cultural thing. This is a, you know, we say information narrative trench warfare, but I think it's fundamentally deeper than that. Politics are downstream to culture. We have to win the culture. It's as simple as that. And as Bitcoiners, we are not winning the culture war. We're not. That's just a reality. We're making content for other Bitcoiners. We're stuck in the Bitcoin echo chamber. We have to really be thinking of how to break out of the Bitcoin echo chamber and really how to get our message out there. Currently, Bitcoin is not cool. Like, people just don't see it as cool. Bitcoin is magic internet money for 99% of people. People commingle Bitcoin and crypto. They don't see the overall movement. That's not to say that things won't change, but that is a call to action. That is a reality check as to we have to wake up and we really have to get this message out there. If we don't, the alternative for the future generations, the consequence for the future generations, consequence for our children, is really to live in slavery, central bank digital currency money, right? Because that's the future ahead of us. So that's really what's at stake. We have to win over the culture. We have to win over the hearts and minds of people. And if we do that, that's when things really start to change. That's when the idea of ending the central bank and then people not being scared of ending the central bank, that's when things really, really start to change. But until we do that, I think we're just going to keep seeing upsets like what happened in Argentina on Sunday. And I know what a lot of people are saying. He still has a chance to win in November during the runoff. We have an article that kind of breaks down as to why his chances are actually quite low. And I already had like that innate feeling after the results of last night. But what did you expect, guys? Did you expect the central bankers, the party of fiat, just to go gently into that good night? Did you think that they were just going to hand over the keys? No, this is information narrative trench warfare. It literally comes down to that. It's really about winning over the hearts and minds of people. It's really about convincing people that there's a better way to the fiat way. And just clearly, not enough people are awake to that reality in Argentina. And another kind of reminder is I think a lot of people were stuck within the Twitter echo chamber. I think that they were so confident, but think about it. The majority of people are not on Twitter. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on all this, bro?
Well, it's still a little early in the YouTube video. I don't really believe in politics nor elections much, but it really just goes to show what we've been saying for a while. It's the powers that be are so entrenched. And again, I don't know if we're going to reference Bukele's article, but we already know what's happening. The powers that be have the monopoly on truth, or truth in quotation marks. They still have, as we always talk about, the hearts and minds of the masses, whether, it's a psyop or not. I think it still goes to show that us Bitcoiners have an uphill obstacle here. And I really do believe in what you've been saying as well in the beginning of this, is that it is a culture war, guys. Everyone in the world is so saturated with the fiat mindset that change is scary. And what is Bitcoin but ultimate change here? And we are necessarily going to change everything once you get on the Bitcoin standard. And we've been on fiat money for the last 100 years. So of course it's turning around the Titanic, and it's not going to be easy. But this is why we vote with our money and our feet. This is why we are Bitcoiners. And, I'm not much, I've never really been political, only slowly but surely, because Nico keeps harping on the idea that politics is still very important in the world. Do I start to pay attention to it? But it's really about the money, guys. And the powers that be are not going to just gently let some outcasts take over again. We know how terrifying that is. We've seen that happen in the US, and it's not going to be an easy battle. But hey, this is why we show up every single day. This is why we constantly try to iterate on our Bitcoin message. And as Sophie always says, make Bitcoin sexy, fun, and cool. And this is what we're doing. I don't know about you guys, but if you ever talk to just normal people out there about Bitcoin, they all have a certain view on what Bitcoin is. They all have a very comfortable view on fiat money, on the dollar system. And this is what we're dealing with. Remember, I know I went a little outside the Overton window last weekend or on Friday, but we are dealing with the Overton window right now, guys. And it's about slowly but surely inching it to what we know to be the truth. And it's going to take a lot of work. And of course, hey, with all that being said, with all the bad news we've been seeing, Bitcoin is pumping right now, and we're at above 30K. So I think the heuristic of we might be in a bull run, considering that no bad news is making the price go down. So if Bitcoin is pumping in the face of everything going on in the world, it's making me hopeful.
Yeah, 100%, right? Bitcoin is pumping. The honey badger doesn't care. But to kind of reiterate to what your point about how you don't care about politics and whatnot, and this is kind of like a theory in the book, The Sovereign Individual, that essentially information technologies was going to make politics irrelevant, as more and more individuals are able to not only opt out of their nation states entirely and go to more favorable jurisdictions, and then that creates competition between jurisdictions, and then it incentivizes them to actually create favorable conditions for people to migrate there, but also people are opting out of money. So I think over the long term, I do believe that politics will become more and more irrelevant. However, during the transition period, which is what we're living through, I think you need people like Javier Milei. I think you need people like Nayib Bukele of El Salvador. You need those beachheads. You do, because essentially, you know, if all else kind of fails, right, you want people to migrate. You want people to have a place to migrate. You want this you want this jurisdiction, the state, to essentially protect Bitcoiners. When the China ban happened, right, all those miners, they left China and they came to the United States. They came to Texas, right? You want places like Texas. You want places where Bitcoiners can migrate to, you know, if for whatever reason their country, their state becomes hostile towards it. You want those jurisdictions. And the more jurisdictions we have, the better, the more competition there'll be, and the safer Bitcoiners will also be. So I get it. Like, a lot of Bitcoiners are like inherently anti-politics and whatever, and rightly so. You should be, right? Like, a lot of us are just discouraged and be like, the system is so broken. Why does it even matter anymore? But I think that during the transition period is very, very, maybe it's a very popular opinion. I think politics matter a lot. And I think the more people come to terms with that, the faster I think we're going to win, in my opinion. Anyways, everybody, no more delay. Let's jump straight into the numbers.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. All right, guys, I made it super easy for you guys. You can scan the QR code on the right hand of your screen, and it'll take you directly to the Stamp Seed website, where you can get yourself a Stamp Seed titanium Bitcoin seed storage kit. And so you could store your generational wealth.
Wait, Nico, before we go, great comment here. And this is what you tell me all the time as well.
The reasons that elections are hard and the system is so corrupt is because people like us think politics are irrelevant. Wake the F up. Yeah, I agree 1,000,000%. Like, I forget, it was like this this like Plato quote. Like, it's super, super famous, but it's like essentially like, just because you don't care about politics doesn't mean that politics doesn't care about you.
Or
right?
the other one, shouts out to our boy Brandon. He says, if you ignore politics, then your lessers will rule over you, or something like that. Another Plato quote.
So
anyways,
again, like, I get that it's very unpopular, and I get that Bitcoiners are for small government and all that good stuff. But if you want more Nayib Bukeles, if you want more Javier Milei to get in positions of power, and in those positions of power, they end central banks and they make something like Bitcoin legal tender, the faster we'll get to a place where politics are irrelevant completely altogether. But right now, when the world is on a fiat standard, you're going to have fiat politics, right? That's just the freaking reality of it, right? Imagine if this guy became president, right? Like, just like, think about it. Just quick thought experiment. This guy became president, ended the central bank. I know he didn't have enough congressional approval and whatever, but just introducing the ideas, and the ideas started to work. What happens? That starts to spread like wildfire. That's why the media was so hell-bent on attacking this guy, because this guy scared the living crap out of them. Because the moment that you prove that there's a viable alternative to the fiat system, and that system is better, guess what happens? Other people start to look around, and they say, "Oh my God, that's a good idea. We should start. That seems like a good idea. Maybe it was the central bank who was responsible all along, right?" It's all about moving that Overton window ever so slowly. Anyways, at the time of recording, Bitcoin is almost at 31K, 30,825. Sats per dollar, 3,244. Block height, 813,519. Blocks to halving, 26,481. Halving estimate, April 21st, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 5,215 Bitcoin. Capacity value, 160 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation, 1.74%. The market capitalization of Bitcoin, $601 billion with a B. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 4.54%. All right, everybody. Let's move on to let's cover what happened, what the results were. This is Bloomberg results as of October 23rd, 2023. Argentina election live results. So we have Sergio Massa, who had 36.69% of the vote. He needed 40% of the vote to win outright, and he needed a 10% lead over the second place candidate. So he didn't quite get that 40%. So it's going to go off to a runoff. Javier Milei got almost 30% of the vote. And here is Patricia Bullrich, who got 23.84% of the vote. Now, in good news, right, Javier Milei was a complete outsider, right? I think he really represented a lot of the populist movements that you're seeing all around the world that I think are reaction to people just being sick and tired of the economic situations that they're in due to broken money, due to fiat. So the fact that he did beat an established player, an established party, I think is a win altogether. But again, it seems like people chose to, reelect someone who's part of the party in power, whose policies are responsible for the crazy inflation that Argentina is enduring, which to me blows my mind, right? Like if you think about that, just think about it from like the most simplistic sense. People are voting in the person that imagine dealing with 100% inflation and the elections come up, and then you deal with the party, you deal with the person who's been part of the party, who's all of that has happened under. And I think that this article, Bold Tide Mara, great Twitter account, did a great explanation as to why he believes all of this happened, right? So he says, welcome, Avatar. Yesterday was a slap in the face as a reminder that the X bubble we cherish is not a carbon copy of reality. As the results of the general election in Argentina came rolling in, what are the consequences in the short term, and what are the scenarios in a runoff? For potential investors in Argentina, did anything change after yesterday? It goes on to say, with 150% inflation and a potential hyperinflation at the doorstep, the dollar rate at 1,100, poverty levels at almost 50%, retirees receiving pensions of less than $100 a month, and various political corruption scandals, Sergio Massa was the clear winner in yesterday's general elections in Argentina. For the libertarians in the room, this was a cold shower many did not expect. Sure, there were cases of fraud here and there, but these kind of shenanigans happen every single election and do not move the scale with a shift like yesterday. After the final results of the general elections came in and it became increasingly clear a runoff was inevitable, one thing stands out. Massa was only 3.32% away from winning in the first round. It goes on to say, Massa's fear campaign. In 2022, Kirchnerism removed Minister of Economy Guzman and replaced him with Batakis. And after 23 days, Massa comes into the picture. A year later, the ruling party put forward their main candidate, Guado de Pedro, who doesn't even last 2 days before they announce at the last minute that the real candidate is Massa. Massa wins the election and was close to winning it in the first round. This would not have happened unless Massa had huge backing from behind him from many different sectors. The results of the first round seem to show that people are not so bothered that Massa has brought inflation to monthly double digits, nor the increase in poverty and the destitution, nor the lack of dollars for imports. Massa focused on installing fear around a potential Milei win. The state apparatus was well prepared to lend a helping hand, and public universities, public schools, and even train stations monitors helped out, but basically indicating Milei would burn it all to the ground if he won. Public health care and education would disappear, which was not true, and bus and train tickets would triple if subsidies are taken off. So I just kind of want you guys to internalize that statement. The state apparatus teamed up with someone who was running for president to scare the public into making them think that if the anti-central banker candidate was elected, all would burn to the ground. Think about that for a second. Think about that. Internalize that. And remember Nayib Bukele's article. They're willing to fight, lie, smear, destroy, censor, confiscate, print, and do whatever it takes to maintain and increase their control over the truth and everything and everyone. Doesn't that sound familiar? Those tactics. And remember, they also charged Milei with a crime about the same month of the election, and Massa's party said that they would eliminate the income tax altogether. So just to kind of get an idea of how hard the central bankers, really, because this is what it is, are fighting back against a potential change of the system, even though as Bitcoiners, we know it's for the betterment of everyone. But at the same time, as this article pointed out in the very, very beginning, I think it's also a shock to reality to a lot of us. We have a lot of work to do. That is the reality. There's no way to put that. There's no way to sugarcoat that. Because if that many people, and again, because I see this on Twitter, like a lot of people are like, no, it was fraud. Look, maybe there was, but I don't think it was enough to change the outcome of the election to that extent. He won by 6 percentage points. So I think as Bitcoiners, we really got to wake the F up and realize how much education we need to do, how many people we need to convince, how many people will need to wake up to this reality. Here is something that we talk a lot about, which is the concept of the Overton window, right? Clearly, a lot of people, a big percentage of people, much more so than in the developed world like the United States and Europe, have already bought into the idea that the central bank is the problem. Have already bought into the idea of Austrian economics. But clearly, Argentina has spoken, and to most people, those ideas are still unthinkable, and they're still radical to the point that the government, right? Because that's really it is. According to this article, the state apparatus is able to convince people, to psyop people into thinking, look, if this guy gets in power, he's going to burn everything to the ground. Like it literally says Massa's fear campaign, right? So how do you fight against that? Well, the way that you fight against that is by education. The way that you fight against that is by breaking out of the Bitcoin echo chamber and getting the people around you to wake up to this reality that, hey, Bitcoin is not going to boil the oceans. You don't need the government to survive. In fact, the government is making you poorer, right? But I think that so many people have been stuck in the fiat matrix for so long that the very idea of even thinking about an alternative is absolutely terrifying to them, unfortunately, right? And I can't emphasize this enough, guys. This is not left versus right. So, because I know a lot of people, if they have the ability, they're going to kind of misconstrue it that way. No. It's about the party of Bitcoin, the party of peace, optimism, opportunity, freedom, versus the party of slavery, central bank digital currencies, nihilism, poverty, slavery. So it's not a left versus right issue. But yeah, we have a lot of work to do as Bitcoiners. Sophie did a great job interviewing some Argentinians here in Miami, and she asked them about Javier Milei. We posted the short yesterday on Simply Bitcoin's Twitter, and I'm pretty sure it went out on Simply Bitcoin's YouTube account. And you can kind of see, like, look, people are they're just like not awake to this. And then this kind of brings me to this tweet by Samson Mao, who's like made it his life's mission for Bitcoin nation state adoption. And he says it, he lays out the case. The biggest challenges for human civilization to overcome in the next decade are relearning what money is and why sound money is so important, understanding that energy is abundant and can be harnessed by our technology, seeing other people as individuals, not as part of a country or ethnic group. Bitcoin will be a key driver for achieving these three things, and we could achieve them. If we can achieve them, we might have a future, right? So take what happened last night as a wake-up call to basically, motivate you a little bit to work a little bit harder, to push that Bitcoin education, right? Because clearly, I think a lot of people misread this. Bitcoin Twitter misread this. I think it was part of the Bitcoin echo chamber, right? But that's the reality. That's the reality, man. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on all this? I'm sure you're not surprised.
Yeah, man, PSA, putting the caveat out there, as much as I would love to see Javier Milei become president and get another South American country to get on the Bitcoin standard, or at least move away from their very bad fiat currencies, I'm obviously not that surprised. Like we constantly talk about this. Even all of last week, we were talking about the control of media and how, for lack of better terms, it's usually running very good psyops on the people. But anyways, with all that being said, I think the classic trope of the devil you know is better than the one that you don't. And we all know, and shout out to the chat, because I think we all kind of at least saw that Peter McCormick documentary. What was it called? Like something about the money. I forget the title of it, but he was interviewing Argentina people. And as much as they have heard about Bitcoin, many of them are still just so dependent on the government. And when you run a fear campaign like Massa was doing, where it's like, hey, if you vote for this new guy, this outsider, like, you're going to be poorer than you are. And we all know how strong fear campaigns are. And that's why they constantly run fear campaigns, is because once you're fearful, you don't really think critically. And of course, also, it's hard to think outside of the first, second, third order effects that we are seeing right now in the world. And everyone is just trying to get by. So we understand exactly what is going on in the world right now, especially when we always quote that Nayib Bukele article. The monopoly on truth is still very, very strong right now. And just, it kind of goes to what we've been saying for a while about the Twitter echo chamber and how we have to break out of the Twitter echo chamber and also realize, like, look, most people aren't on Twitter. Most people don't understand what the hell we're talking about on Twitter. And shouts out to Sophie for doing that interview, because she was talking to normal people and they were all like, yeah, like, it sounds good and all, but like, I don't really trust him. Like, I'm kind of more trustworthy on the people that I already know. And we already know that, hey, it hasn't all gone up in ashes yet. And if you're going to throw a huge curveball at us with a totally different person that is literally kind of running on a campaign of like, we're going to change everything, it's definitely scary. And people don't like change. And this really leads me to what we've been hinting on not even hinting on, hitting on a lot on the show about the Overton window, guys. Like, we got to remember, wait, which way is the best way to do it? Okay. Most of us are Bitcoiners over here on outside of the Overton window. Someone said, don't be inside the Overton window, don't be a square. Well, most of us Bitcoiners are way outside the Overton window. And most people aren't even really in the Overton window yet. The Overton window is just that like compromise in the middle that kind of soothes everyone's brain, and it's what's allowed to be talked about. And we got to slowly but surely inch people towards what we're talking about. So yes, maybe he's not going to win, maybe he doesn't have a chance to win, but at least this conversation is growing and more people are talking about what we've been talking about. And now for better or worse, like that conversation is being had, whether it's on the political level, whether it's on the corporate media level, whether it's in a personal level. Like people are waking up and asking the same questions we ask all the time. Why is inflation so high? Why are we getting poor? What is going on? Is politics rigged? Like, what is going on? Are these people working for our best interest, or are they working for their own best interest? And again, this is all an uphill battle. This is all the obstacles and the inching towards moving people on the Bitcoin standard, and it's just going to take time. So unfortunately, this didn't happen. But you know, Nico, I wasn't putting too much weight into it. I really liked some of the stuff he was saying. I would have loved to see him win, but hey, it just goes to show that we are still dealing with the fiat brain, and more and more and more, it's becoming obvious that, hey, there's a lot of work to be done. And most people still think that we're the crazy ones, that we're the internet nerd money guys, and like you guys are radicals. And so it's only going to be time. And of course, hey, everyone's saying in the chat, you know, we just crossed 31K. So as number goes up, more and more people
he lost
will
in
start
Bitcoin
to wake up.
pumps, right?
Let's go.
I think that's like a testament to Honey Badger Don't Care. Anyways, guys, if you're enjoying the show, make sure to smash that like button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithms. If you're watching us on Twitter, shout out to you guys. Make sure to smash that like button. If you're watching us on Rumble, smash that like button too. We appreciate our Rumble audience. It's growing by the day. It's funny because last week Opti went ham on the Friday episode, and then the Rumble audience was just
I got a meme. I got a meme for you guys.
Like blowing up, which was absolutely hilarious. Anyways, guys, so we appreciate all you guys watching us on alternative platforms. The P-Man Vans in the chat, shout out to you, brother. Also, shout out to our sponsor, Bitcoin 2024. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin conference on planet Earth. It's not going to be in Miami this year. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee, July 25th through the 27th, 2024. You want to get your tickets quickly before the prices go up. For a general admission ticket, you can get it for $349. I saw someone saying how they wanted the Bitcoin prices, so I'll do that. You can get it for 1.3 million sats. For an industry pass, you can get it for $849 or 3.1 million sats. And for a whale pass, you can get it for $4,749 or 17.6 million sats. The whale pass gives you access to the deep backstage VIP lounge. The industry pass gives you access to 3 days of the conference, including industry day. That's when like all the big speakers, that's like when Michael Saylor does his rounds on the floor. You have an opportunity to see him. And then of course, you know, the GA pass gives you access to day 1 of GA and day 2 of GA. You definitely don't want to miss this Bitcoin celebration, this Bitcoin conference. It's the largest on planet Earth. Opti and I are going to be there. Bitcoin 2024, Nashville, Tennessee. Promo code SIMPLY to get yourself 10% off your tickets. All right, everybody, let's hit the news.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. All right, guys, I made it super freaking easy for you guys. You could scan the QR code on your screen right now. On the right hand of your screen, it'll take you directly to the Foundation Devices website where you can get yourself a Passport hardware wallet. Remember, guys, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. All right, everybody. Speaking of fear campaigns, this is, excuse my language, but I'm going to say it anyways, the biggest steaming pile of shit I've seen in a long time. This is a straight propaganda attack on Bitcoin. This article, which inevitably led to Elizabeth Warren and a lot of other politicians writing a letter to the White House which inevitably led to FinCEN proposing these crazy regulations on Bitcoin, anti-Bitcoin regulations, turned out to be a total hoax. This has happened before. Remember, they say one of the arguments, one of the talking points is if it doesn't come from mainstream media, which I don't call it mainstream anymore, I call it corporate media, it's misinformation. But what happens when the mainstream media gets it wrong? Do you guys remember the war in Iraq? Weapons of mass destruction. Do you guys remember that? That came from the New York Times. This recent move by the FinCEN, it all originated from this article. You look at it, you look at this, and you think, this must be real. So when we talk about narrative trench warfare, when we talk about winning over the hearts and minds, we failed to do that in Argentina. We failed. To use Bowtie's own words, the state apparatus beat us there. They captured the narrative. They won that. And this is what this is. This is an example of narrative trench warfare. The articles that we cover from the New York Times, whether it's the attack on Bitcoin's energy use, whether it's the narrative that Russians are going to use Bitcoin to circumvent US sanctions, those are all examples of narrative trench warfare. They're trying to set the tone. They're trying to scare you. It is the definition of a fear campaign. Hamas militants behind Israel attack raised millions in crypto. And that led to Senator Elizabeth Warren leads lawmakers to push administration on crypto-backed terrorism. And you read this and you're like, holy cow, like this is bad, guys. This is really, really bad. They used crypto to raise millions. How could we let these terrorists do that? Remember, that same type of thinking was the justification to pass the Bank Secrecy Act in the 1970s, which led to that $10,000 limit, right? Which in the 1970s is the equivalent to 70K or 80K today. And that led to the infamous Patriot Act that was passed in the 2000s that still remains law and that has been used against American citizens. And this is, you can't just look at what Elizabeth Warren is saying because you say, okay, Elizabeth Warren is just concerned about terrorism. But if you actually look at the bill that Elizabeth Warren is co-sponsoring, you know that she's not a big fan of this thing. And we've read you guys this bill many times. So what is the bill that she's proposing? Extend Bank Secrecy Act responsibilities, including KYC requirements to digital asset wallet providers, miners, validators, and other network participants that may act to validate, secure, facilitate digital asset transactions. Basically, if you run a node, a miner, or if you are a hardware wallet or software wallet maker, you have to KYC. I don't even know if that's possible with miners or nodes. So, and what Pierre Richard basically said is that this is just a de facto ban. And then check this out, address a major gap with respect to unhosted digital wallets, which would allow individuals to bypass AML and sanctions check by directing FinCEN to finalize and implement its December 2020 proposal rule, which would require banks and money service providers to verify customer and counterparty identities. So interesting, FinCEN, right? Interesting. Okay, so you're saying, Nico, you know what? Let's always the benefit of the doubt. You're saying, Nico, this is justified. These are terrorists. This is horrible. Look at what happened in Israel. These are terrorists. They kill people. However, things started to come out. And just like in the 2000s, there were no weapons of mass destruction. It looks like the reporting from the Wall Street Journal wasn't exactly accurate. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, the damage is done. The narrative is set. The letter to the White House has been sent. The FinCEN responded. We're going to cover that on tomorrow's episode, and Rustin released a Simply original covering exactly what the FinCEN did yesterday. So check that out. But here's Sam Callahan. Said last week, the Wall Street Journal published an article claiming about $90 million worth of crypto was used to fund Hamas, a serious claim that gathered significant attention. In response to the article, anti-Bitcoin politicians directly linked the Wall Street Journal article as evidence in a letter to the White House and Treasury to, quote, address the serious national security threats posed by crypto's use to finance terrorism. Later, it was confirmed that the article was patently false. It was straight up fake news. This was confirmed by Chainalysis, which ran the numbers. Turns out the authors of the article mistakenly counted an entire exchange's trading volume, 82 million, for a terrorist group's address. Rookie move. Here's the thing, guys. I do not think it's a mistake. You can give them the benefit of the doubt and say it was a mistake, but there's a history going back to literally the early 1900s when the New York Times reported that what was going on in the Soviet Union was great when they purposely hid the Ukrainian genocide called the Holodomor. And it wasn't until the 90s that they apologized for hiding all of that. The original author of those articles got a fucking Pulitzer Prize, just like the original author that published that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. She got a prize too. So if these papers have a history of obfuscating information, lying, getting it completely wrong, forgive me if I'm skeptical in believing that it was just a rookie mistake. How convenient for Elizabeth Warren that this was reported in the Wall Street Journal. Very convenient. Did the paper retract what they said? Did they retract the letter to the White House? Did FinCEN walk it back? No. How convenient. Just give them ammunition to attack the thing that people are using to opt out of government money. How convenient. Oh, look at that. Of the roughly $82 million in cryptocurrency received by this address, about $450,000 worth of the funds were transferred from the known terror-affiliated wallet. Given the activity of the address, the person or group of people controlling it is likely not the same person that controls the terror-affiliated wallet, but is rather a service provider that knowingly or unknowingly facilitated the terror financing activity. So the Wall Street Journal for crypto use in financing Hamas was off by over 99%. My question is, where is your retraction article, Wall Street Journal? Where is the article describing why your reporters were blatantly wrong about this? If you don't retract, politicians with an agenda will likely continue to use this fake news as evidence to attack an industry they have a personal vendetta against. Please fix it. Guess what? The Wall Street Journal hasn't fixed jack shit. What a freaking coincidence. And then this leads me to the iron law of politician and central banker projection. And I tweeted this out. I said they project onto Bitcoin what it is they are guilty of themselves. They say U.S. Senator Warren leads lawmakers to push administration on crypto-backed terrorism. Here is a clip of Ted Cruz saying the Biden administration poured hundreds of millions into Gaza, which is controlled by Hamas. They had to exempt themselves from American anti-terrorism laws to do it. Their political agenda was so important, they were willing to risk money going to terrorists. So break it down for a second, okay? Just break it down for a second, right? 450,000 from the crypto money laundering, millions purposely coming out of the current administration, of which they had to circumvent laws in order to send to Hamas, to send to that region. Not simply Bitcoin saying this, a US senator is saying this. Do you see the hypocrisy? They don't care about what is true and what is not true. It's becoming very apparent. They care about power. And remember Nayib Bukele's words. Nayib Bukele says it perfectly. They're willing to fight, lie, smear, destroy, censor, confiscate, print, and do whatever it takes to maintain and increase their control over the truth and everything and everyone. This is pure, blatant hypocrisy, misrepresentations, lies, and spin. What they accuse Bitcoin of, they literally did it themselves with dollars. With dollars. And this has real life consequences. This isn't just, oh, whoop-de-doo, it is what it is. This led to FinCEN proposes insane special measures. We're going to cover this in depth tomorrow, but it is no joke. If you want to run a Lightning node, if you want to do a multi-sig collaborative custody, a bunch of those things. If this FinCEN proposal gets processed, if it gets put into legislation, you now have to report that collaborative custody multi-sig to FinCEN. You now have to report that Lightning node, which you're running with someone else, to FinCEN because of a fake article they have not retracted, blaming Bitcoin being used to launder millions of dollars, even though they did the exact same thing with dollars. Bonkers. Absolutely nuts, right? So this is just another example of what happened in Argentina. Fear, narrative, spin. Nayib Bukele hit it on that article. He hit the nail on the head. He's telling you exactly what their playbook is. The only defense against this is shine the light of truth. Expose the lies, hypocrisies, and misrepresentations. Expose it with the truth. Wake people up. And if you wake people up, if you do it enough, then when they see it's the Wall Street Journal, it must be true, and they look back and they're like, wait a second. That's bullshit. And it's not like we're not making progress. We are making progress. Last week, we reported that the New York Times got their verification check removed. Why? Because Elon was sick and tired of them peddling bullshit. So just because you come from the Wall Street Journal or just because you come from the New York Times doesn't make it any different than when Cointelegraph published the article saying that the spot Bitcoin BlackRock ETF was approved. It's just crazy. The only difference is that when the New York Times suggests that a country has weapons of mass destruction, they can use that to invade another country and kill hundreds of thousands of people. I don't think Cointelegraph has that level of influence. This is just, dude, I don't know, Opti. Like this, I saw this play out. This is, I'm telling you, this was a blatant attack on Bitcoin that used the tragedy that is happening in Palestine and Israel as cover, right? We read you guys that quote from Winston Churchill, never let a good crisis go to waste. Well, they totally didn't do that. They're ready. They've been waiting for this on the sidelines, and they're like, Bitcoin terrorism, Bitcoin terrorism. Anyways, that's my take, Opti. What's your take on all this, brother?
Okay, well, not to go too outside the Overton window again, Nico, but my being kind of generous here, my first take, I'm not surprised that they don't understand how Bitcoin works. That's like my generous take. I'm sure that reading blockchain data is probably hard for these government politicians and bureaucrats. So obviously not surprised that there was a misreading. Again, being generous with the quote, misreading of the data. That's my generous take. My not so generous take is basically what everyone's saying in the chat. I see this more as a coordinated attack in my opinion. Shouts out to Parker Lewis for giving us the meme of corporate press is really just government press. And here we're seeing, in real time with receipts, with proof that bureaucrats and the press, the media are working in cahoots to do stuff that is going against the population. Like, I personally, again, maybe I just have my tinfoil hat on. I see this more as a coordinated attack. It's not like one of these things like, oh, they didn't know what was happening. They're not going to retract this statement because, it was just bad press. It's like, no, I am pretty sure that behind the scenes, they knew exactly what they were doing. And they're trying to do their best to gaslight the population and scare people from not using Bitcoin. It's the same playbook over and over and over. Fear is the campaign, and they're doing whatever they can to scare people away from using freedom money. So I am not surprised that we are seeing a coordinated governmental press attack here. Obviously, it's not a full-on like direct attack on Bitcoin, but this is as direct as it's going to get in the meantime. And then it's something we say all the time here, guys, man. Fiat is for the real criminals, and the projection is so strong coming out of these bureaucrats. They constantly say what we're doing when this is what they're doing behind the scenes. And as long as they have the press, they can make up and spin whatever truth they want because most people still seem to believe in the legitimacy of the corporate press. And the last point, in the face of all this stuff, Honey Badger is pumping and you just love to see it. It's just like, okay, it's so beautiful that no matter what they're throwing at us, Bitcoin price doesn't care. And it just goes to show that, cash rules everything around me, or Bitcoin rules everything around me. And it's really all about money. It will always be about money. And as we move further into this fourth turning, the game is starting to unravel. And the more that I see these politicians, these bureaucrats overstep, it just goes to show that I know that we are winning and the pendulum is swinging towards our direction. And we're going to see this accelerate. Like, they are accelerating the process by scrambling and losing their minds and doing whatever they can to paint us all as criminals. And all we really want to do is hold on to money that they can't steal from us. Again, as much as they say that they're out here for the public good, we got to always remember it is all looting, guys. You're either for theft or you're against theft. You're either for Bitcoin or you're for slavery. So personally, I'm not surprised. Maybe I'm just that black-pilled when it comes to government press and politicians and all that. And so this is not surprising, but it is very nefarious that we are seeing this happen. And, I just really hope that people will wake up and we don't have to, see these rules get approved. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous, but am I surprised? No. We have so many accounts of the governmental press saying something, they enacting laws, and us average citizens having to deal with this. And this is why it is Bitcoin or it is slavery. Well, this is why Bitcoin is freedom money, is because this is all backed because of the money printer. It's all fiat problems. Like, we are living in a fiat world and everyone has a saturated brain with fiat. And so again, back to the numbers, we're just in the process of trying to educate people and show them that, hey, it's not as bad as they're painting us out to be. Like, the world will get better. And most of the world's problems is because of the very people that you need protection from. The very people that are telling you to not use Bitcoin are the ones you need protection from.
They are guilty of what it is they're claiming Bitcoin and they are guilty of doing what it is they claim Bitcoin does. Like, that is the craziest part about all of this. Maybe it's like, again, like, the projection never fails. Like, it's a clear projection. And then I think maybe they do it to obfuscate what it is they are doing themselves, because that's never talked about. Like, Bitcoin is the problem, but somehow them doing the exact same thing in dollars, no, that's okay. Like, I just don't think they really care about the things that they say they care about. I think that, like, fiat has Frankensteined the system so much that I think governments no longer represent the people that they say they represent. I think governments really represent special interest groups themselves. these large, international corporations, I don't think it's no longer by the people for the people, and I don't think it can be by the people for the people as long as fiat exists. Like, I just think that's the reality, man. Maybe it's a sad reality, but like, it's clear as day to me. Anyways, guys, I want to give a shout out to our.
Wait, Nico, before you go, clear up this. This
so it is bigger
here.
than blue or red or not. I don't think this is either blue or red. I just think that this is just fiat. Like, it's just like, I don't think it's blue or red. It's fiat versus orange. Like, it's fiat versus Bitcoin. This, like, if you want to deal with more fiat shit, like, there you go. Here it is. It's right in front of you. Anyways, guys, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Kaboom Racks. You can scan the QR code on your screen. It will take you directly to the Kaboom Racks Telegram marketplace. They are the most trusted place to buy, sell, and host mining equipment. You can check out their inventory and connect with a member of their sales team. And they make purchasing products easy and transparent. You could also sell mining equipment with them. They have a vast network of domestic and international customers when you sell your equipment with them. Guys, if you haven't already done so, check out the Kaboom Racks marketplace. You can visit their website, kaboomracks.com, or you can go directly to their Telegram marketplace. You could also hit up the Kaboom Racks guys. They'll be happy to answer any questions you guys might have about buying Bitcoin ASICs. All right, everybody, let's get to the culture.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today.
All right, guys. Well, last week, Nico and I were speculating on the price. And I think I got triggered where Nico was being a bear and I was being more bullish and everyone was saying we were both being bearish. Well, I forget. I think it was Thursday. Bitcoin Times article dropped and I don't know. It's Monday. I'm speculating. I think we're showing in real time that no one knows what's going on with the price. But I kind of want to argue against the idea that we as Bitcoiners always talk about diminishing returns on the Bitcoin scale. Whoa. And yeah, we're going there, Nico. We're going there. And this is why we're doing this, so that we can kind of argue on it a little bit. All right, guys. So here I am on TradingView, and we have the Bitcoin Liquid Index, which if you guys are unfamiliar with, this is probably the best chart to view the long-term frame and long-term trajectory of Bitcoin. Everyone knows this like curve where we're going to see Bitcoin go. There's the idea that maybe we are going to see diminishing returns and that, moving forward, it's going to follow this trend line and, Bitcoin is always going to go up. Anyways, I really like this post here from the Bitcoin Times, which is kind of the flip side of that idea that we are only going to see diminishing returns moving forward, which is kind of an idea that no one really knows. We're all kind of in the dark in regards to how this is going to happen. But I think this is a pretty good argument against it. So Bitcoin Times here, or at Timeless Bitcoin on Twitter, goes, Bitcoin doesn't just break all your models. Bitcoin breaks all the cycles. Bitcoin isn't just some fourth turning minutia or the end of another generational cycle. It's the fulcrum for the transformation from a type 0 into a type 1 civilization. Characteristic of the tumultuous before Bitcoin period is the creation of a multitude of models and cyclical theories. Whether the Hop cycle, the Kondrashev's waves, the Schumpeterian cycle, short and long-term business or debt cycles, to name a few, these cycles are how we make sense of a complex emergent history. Again, the meme, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. They may be useful to forecast a world in which the same paradigm applies and where the same forces function, but they are utterly useless post the transition onto a total Bitcoin standard. In this sense, Bitcoin may be the genesis of a truly objective record of history in which events are recorded on the time chain forever, Laura, forever. And we got a quote here. This is why, whilst many won't want to believe it, Bitcoin breaks all the cycles, not just the models, as Saylor said to Mr. Quad Poor. And just adding to this, Svetsky at the very bottom goes, all cycles to date have been influenced by money that can be broken, debased, inflated, or manipulated. What happens when we remove that piece of the puzzle? What happens when money is incorruptible? Do the same sort of cycles affect us, or do we enter a new age? And of course, dare I say it, fix the money, fix the world. And so this kind of got me thinking of actually, before I go on, let's look at this chart here. And I've never seen this chart before, so shouts out to Bitcoin Times for posting this. And I think we've all kind of hinted on this, and we've all kind of thought about this. Yes, if we're looking at the past to forecast the future, it does seem like the Bitcoin price is just going to go on a steady trajectory. We'll see diminishing returns, but it's always going to go up forever. But this chart here is a different one, and I really like it. So, of course, the BB, which is before Bitcoin, and the after Bitcoin timeline. And here, this is, fire, and you can see there's sine waves of human progress, and then it goes up and down. And this is all the before Bitcoin times. And then we hit the Bitcoin Genesis block. And we are in this process of the great transition where all your models are broken. And this is all after Bitcoin. And then there's a Bitcoin event horizon, and we don't know what that is. We don't know when that is. This is, of course, all speculation. And then we will get to, as we always talk about, the mythical hyper-Bitcoinization. And this is where all cycles are broken and human flourishing finds escape velocity. Well, this kind of got me thinking too, and I'm not the first one to talk about this. I think the first one to talk about this was like Pierre Rochard or something. It's the idea of the S-curve. And I think Bitcoin is following this S-curve. And we are seeing that we are viewing exponential rises in Bitcoin. Have we finally gotten to that gradually then suddenly moment in Bitcoin? I don't know. Maybe I'm just stupidly bullish where I think that we will be seeing a ton of capital flowing into Bitcoin. We will be seeing an even larger amount of humans jumping into Bitcoin, as we are seeing constantly. The world and the fiat world is all going crazy, and people are going to look for alternatives. People will look for something that is stable. And of course, we all know one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. It is not that Bitcoin is volatile. It is that the fiat world is volatile, and Bitcoin is just fluctuating to that. So let's just jump in. What is the S-curve a little bit? And I'll end with a meme, and then we'll have me and Nico go back and forth for a second. So S-curve, estimating the demand for new products is a challenging exercise for any firm. This is especially true when the new product has new technology. One such example is a transition of cell phones or personal devices with keyboards to just screens, from the BlackBerry to the iPhone. Another challenging situation is when the new product is just a limited upgrade in function, like a cell phone upgraded with a bigger screen, better camera, or more memory. Often the S-curve, which is, I'll show you at the bottom, is a helpful computational method for organizing your analysis. They are very helpful for other areas such as recovery from a medical issue, project management, learning curves, chemistry, and technology transitions like payphones to cell phone. S-curves are named based on their shape. They have 4 stages. Stage one, a slope is small in terms of new product introduction, slow growth of market share. Stage 2, slope is large, fast growth in market share. Business takes off. Stage 3, slope is small, slow growth to zero growth. And stage 4, slope is zero, no growth in market share. So here we have the S-curve, and it just translating this, speculating, we'll argue a little bit about this. Thinking of the Bitcoin price, have we seen the stage 2 fast growth in Bitcoin? Is that behind us? Maybe it is. Only time will tell. Only looking backwards, as we know, 2020 is hindsight, or hindsight is 2020. We'll see here, stage 1, slow growth, stage 2, fast growth, stage 3, slow growth, and then finally it levels off. And again, going back here, which part of this are we on? We know that Bitcoin is following an S-curve adoption cycle. It is a new technology. It is a new paradigm. Is this the fast growth era, or have we barely seen the slow growth going into fast growth? And shouts out to our boy Austin Herbert, because he's not the first one to do this, but I've seen this before, and it really kind of connects with the Bitcoin Times article. Are we going to see a massive S-curve, or have we already seen it? But as you can see, have we seen that Bitcoin event horizon where we finally get that escape velocity? I don't know, but I like to think in bullish terms. I don't want to oversell it. But I don't know. I feel when I look back at this, that 3 points on the data chart is not enough to know where we are headed. And I am very convinced that moving forward, we're going to see so much capital. So again, I'm speculating maybe a little hopium for the Monday morning for you guys. And anyways, Nico, is this too much hopium?
No,
I know you're kind
all.
of a diminishing returns maxi here.
Yeah. I mean,
But
look,
did I at least make a decent argument for?
I think it's infinity divided by 21 million. I think that the world doesn't know what absolute scarcity is. I don't think we've ever had something that has absolute scarcity or commodity that's had absolute scarcity. So I don't think we know what the long-term consequences are of that are. However, I can tell you this. So far, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset ever. But you know what I've noticed over the last two cycles are, without a doubt, there has been diminishing returns. So does that mean that it's going to hold up? I truly believe that the last cycle was cut short due to the China ban and due to the rehypothecation and selling of paper Bitcoin from FTX. So I do believe that the next cycle, we do have an opportunity to outperform the previous cycle due to, you know, the downward sell pressure of the because of the things I just mentioned. So, you know, that would kind of kill the diminishing returns theory completely, right? Is there going to be like a hyper Bitcoinization, like S curve on the way up like that? I don't know.
L curve maxis, hockey stick maxis.
Just hockey stick. It's going up forever, Laura. I don't know. But I love the Kingo's attitude on this, which is like, you know, stay humble, stack sats, stay solvent. And if you take up that attitude, like, you don't really get let down. Like, obviously we want Bitcoin to hit $100,000, $500,000, eventually $1 million, a lot quicker than we want. But it could also take a lot longer than we think, just because, like, look at the external macro factors, right? A lot of people are expecting, you know, recession in 2024. A lot of people are expecting a global conflict, and all of those things could lead to downward sell pressure on the price of Bitcoin. That's just kind of like the reality of it. So, you know, not to be a Debbie Downer, but look, regardless of all of these things happening that I just mentioned, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I still have my wealth in Bitcoin because, you know, I think it's the best money the world has ever seen. I feel empowered by taking self-custody over my wealth. And I think that no other asset could truly provide that. Like, you could make the case that like physical gold can do that, but like physical gold is very limited on what you could do with it. So yeah, that's my take on all that. Like, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope you're right. Like, I hope we get to see this. That would be fucking awesome. You know, that'd be great. Maybe I'm too jaded for, like,
We are all jaded.
maybe I'm too jaded and let down
And
from the
honestly,
last bull market. I was expecting 100K Bitcoin. I was like, fuck yeah, 100K Bitcoin. And I got to 69 and then we fell down to 16K. I'm like, holy shit, this sucks. So I don't know. I would rather be pleasantly surprised than let down like last time. That's my attitude.
And to your point, maybe this, everyone's in the chat going L curve maxi. Maybe the L curve maxi is not as beneficial as we would think. It would just mean that all fiat currencies are hyperinflating, and that's probably even more dangerous than anything versus like Bitcoin purchasing power going up. It's just like dollar is in full hyperinflationary debt spiral. So I don't know. Who knows where we're going? All we know is 21 million hard cap. I don't know. Three points on the data chart doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see diminishing returns. So I'll argue against that going forward with you, Nico, and we'll keep going back and forth just so we can get one bull and one bear on the show. Even though we all are stupidly bullish, I will keep my bull-tard hat on forever because it's going up forever, Laura.
It's going up forever, Laura. But yeah, man, let's see what happens.
Hold on. Hockey stick maxis in the chat. Let's go.
Hockey stick maxis in the chat. Anyways, it's time for the meme review. Let's do it.
The Daily Meme Review.
All right, guys, you already know the deal. As you can tell, we are in the midst of an information war. And it's upon us to spread the message, spread the memes, get the calls of actions, make the funny so our friends and family keep their heads in the game. But it's becoming more and more obvious as the blocks come in is that we are in an information war. And if you don't remember how I explained the information war, guys, you get bombarded with so much noise that you forget what the signal is. And this is why we constantly be on the fundamentals. We constantly spread what we believe to be the truth so that more and more and more people get on the Bitcoin standard. This is the most important thing to be doing, is to make sure that people are downloading Bitcoin wallets and transacting in Bitcoin on the Bitcoin standard. Anyways, tweets are the bullets, memes are the artillery. We are in an information war. Just prepare yourself. Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in the war. So here we are. We are the warriors in the digital gardens. Anyways, first meme, shouts out to Bitcoin Magazine. I'm almost positive this is my boy Nick Can't Mine who posted this, because we always say this back and forth. And so it goes, when Bitcoin pumps, with laughing emoji, and we got Kermit the Frog like, what? And it goes, Bitcoin up 10% in a week. My boss, why were you late? Me, Kermit the Frog. Watch your mouth. You better speak to me nicely. Bitcoin is pumping. You can't speak to me like this anymore. Oh, man. Guys, be smart out there. I know we all get stupidly bullish and at times arrogant, but y'all know this feeling. I'm sure you guys are feeling this right now. We're seeing the Bitcoin price. Let's double check. I know we're all watching the 1 minute chart right now. All right, we're retracting a little bit from 31K, but hey, 1 minute chart maxis. Let's go. All right, so this one, I can already hear Yellow yelling at me. This isn't a meme, whatever. Sometimes tweets are the memes, but we got Dylan LeClaire here with a chart, and it goes Bitcoin denominated in U.S. Treasury bonds, and you can see it. You know, everything's macro. But you can see that Bitcoin is pumping. It's in a bull market if you are pricing them in U.S. Treasury bonds. Love to see it. Shouts out to the risk-off asset, quote unquote, that is Treasury bonds, but we all know Bitcoin is a Treasury bond. But the meme here is Safety. Silver lining through all the crazy stuff. So Safety goes, there's a lot to be upset about in today's world, but look on the bright side. Bondholders who lend money to governments to finance the evil you see around the world continue to get ruined in historically unprecedented ways. Heart emojis. Let's go. This is the way, guys. Bitcoin stays winning. Okay, next one is by Bitcoin Scoresby, and he goes, hashtag Bitcoin is opt-in money. And we got Smokey the Bear here. And he's pointing to a sign. He goes, remember, only you can adopt Bitcoin. You as the individual, you have to make the decision to adopt Bitcoin, to save in Bitcoin. And this is how we opt out of this madness. This is how we defund the powers that be. It's by stop using their money. It's so simple. Okay, next one. This one is by Worship Bitcoin. I took this from our Telegram group. I saw that there is a watermark here, so this is why I was able to put it on the show. I need more tweets. Anyways, we got like an AI picture of what looks like Marilyn Monroe, and it's a play on the classic trope that diamonds are forever, but she's holding a Bitcoin physical coin, and it goes, Bitcoins are forever. Not only is it going up forever, Laura, but when this Bitcoin project is cemented in the minds of the masses, Bitcoin will be here for a long, long time. It's hard to think of a better money than Bitcoin. And I really do believe that we have the best money. Hence why I believe it should be so easy for us to market Bitcoin. So do better at marketing, guys. Okay, next one is by Otherberry BTC. And he goes, the worse it gets, the more they lie. And we got a guy in a suit here and a bunch of dumpster fires. A dumpster fire after dumpster fire after dumpster fire after dumpster fire. And he goes, this is fine. This is so fine. Everything's fine, guys. You know, did you watch the game this weekend? Did you catch the latest Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift drama? Are you watching? Are you watching the Kardashians, or are you paying attention to the money? Stupid! It is always about the money. Hence, why they don't teach you about money. Hence, why financial illiteracy is so rampant. Is because if you understand the way money works, you would be pissed off, and you would understand that it's all about the money. Okay, this last one. Shouts out to Paradox. He's on Rumble. He was trolling hard. He was applauding me last week. So Friday, if you missed Friday's show, apparently I got triggered and I I went way outside the Overton window. But we talked about it in the beginning of the show, and it's so funny that on YouTube we got to be a little mindful so that we don't nuke our channel. But on Rumble, you guys were loving it. You guys were going ham. We had like all-time high viewers on Rumble. And so here we go. It's a play on the Overton window, and we've been talking about the Overton window all day. And there are, green boxes on the extremes of the Overton window, and he called it the Rumbleton window. And then in the middle is the Overton window. Well, apparently Rumble's on both sides of the extremes. Shouts out to all you guys. This one made me laugh. Good job, Paradox. And, it is what it is. And it's really, really interesting, guys. Just remember the frogs in boiling water meme. We are inching people towards the Bitcoin signal, the Bitcoin standard. And in my younger, naive days as a Bitcoiner, I would do the crazy Charlie Day and yell at everyone and be like, you're so stupid. You need to wake up. The Billy Madison, like stay in school, but like wake up. And now I'm starting to realize that just slowly but surely inching people towards the Bitcoin window is the best way. Plant the seeds, incept the ideas, maybe even avoid saying the B word because people have already made up their minds on Bitcoin. And this is how we get people. I know for us, especially since we're all on Bitcoin Twitter and it's always doom and gloom. And I even said this weekend, stop doom scrolling, save in Bitcoin, go live life, the end. Welcome to my masterclass. It's that simple, guys. It really is that simple. So at times, I know it's easy for us to fall into the doom and gloom, but I think there is a lot more hope than we would even like to mention on Twitter in our personal lives. So slowly but surely, just know that we have the exit route, we have the safety boat, and we will get more and more people on the Bitcoin standard. And as Bitcoin starts pumping, it's going to be easier and easier and easier. So just buckle in. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Anyways, drop your meme review score in the chat as I cover mine, and we will wrap this show up. All right. I haven't seen one of these in a long time. As you can tell, I'm like basically completely digital. I don't do anything physical. I don't send envelopes. I don't even staple things. But look at this. My dad has a staple, the staple teeth things, like the claw, the staples. As you can tell, he is still analog. And he's the type of people I am trying to orange pill. He kind of gets Bitcoin. He's kind of like, yeah, my son's crazy and he's on this internet digital money stuff, but he does watch the Bitcoin price and he always mentions it. Oh man, it's pumping. Good job. Maybe you are right. So as the price goes up, more and more people will get on the Bitcoin standard. Anyways, drop your meme review score in the chat as I cover us live. But in the meantime, support the boys over here. Get yourself some Simply Bitcoin merch. You can see on the side over here. Wait, right here. We got the Simply Bitcoin t-shirt. Get yourself a bright orange hoodie if you're hunting. It is hunting. No, it's winter. They're comfy. They're bright. They're good branding, not just for us, but to show people it is simply Bitcoin. Anyways, there is some memes. So let's get into the meme review, guys. All right, just scrolling up. Let me see. Okay. You guys are lively today. All right. Hold on. Can I even read this? All right. Score. Opti's Petrified Rock. Look, he can talk. Score. Bitcoin is up 10% in a week. Nico, why are you late, Opti? I was watching the 1 minute chart. See, I knew there was going to be something there, dude. Jeez. All right. Anyways, next meme review score. Igor, I give the memes a free subscription to Dominion, the vote counting software. Oof. Okay. Phil C, I give these memes a wake-up call for those still waiting on 10K BTC. Yes, it's a staple remover. I haven't seen one in forever, okay? Damn, my dad's getting trolled in the chat. Yeah, be nice. The P-Man van, I give these memes Opti's dad on board. Yeah, he's kind of there. Bake, this isn't a score, but I'm going to make it a score. Bake score, Opti broadcasting from his local Office Depot. Yes. It's live streaming from the DMV. What did I say? Petrified Rock. Petrified Wood. What did I say? Petrified Rock. Anyways. All right. It's not that we're out of scores. It's that the buzzer hit. All right, guys. Well, love you guys. Like, share, subscribe if you think we're adding value to your life. Spread all the Bitcoin signal, guys. As you can tell, we are in an information war and everyone thinks that we are wrong. But hey, we are right, okay? We have the truth on our side. Continue to spread the Bitcoin fundamentals. Continue to wake people up. Continue to get friends and family to download Bitcoin wallets and transact in Bitcoin. This is the most important thing we can be doing. And hey, as the price starts pumping more, it'll be easier and easier and easier to get people on the Bitcoin standard. Anyways, I might not be doing spaces this week, guys. I got a lot of things to do, and I'm going to be going home at the end of this week, so I won't be at live streaming from Office Depot. So let's just keep that in mind. If I spin one up, I spin one up. If not, just you know where to find us. We'll be on YouTube. The Twitter video will be there. Anyways, guys, we love you guys. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Get outside, get your body moving, eat some good food, call your parents, all that good stuff. Anyways, peace out, guys. Have a good rest of your day. We will be back tomorrow. Peace.